I would describe us as an all-American family.
Bill and Christine Koch had it all. Good jobs, 3 kids, family vacations.
I would do it all over again. I absolutely had a fairy tale life.
Until a year into their youngest son Stephen's first deployment in Afghanistan. He admitted on the phone for the first time to his mother he was scared with the increased number of IEDs.
And he said, I don't know how much longer my luck is going to hold out. He actually said that to me, and my heart sunk.
A month later, with just a few weeks to go before returning home, the Koches heard their doorbell ring.
The reaction, it becomes so surreal. Yeah. And you're looking at 2 guys that are pale because they have to tell you the worst news that they can ever deliver to the people that are going to be hurt the most.
A suicide bomber had blown up a vehicle at Stephen's base, killing him and another soldier.
I kept stopping him, and I kept saying, you're at the wrong house. You're the wrong soldier.
Stephen's death hit this close-knit family hard, especially his older sister, Lynn.
It was very stressful for her to deal with right from the beginning.
Lynn was in denial for a long time.
Her parents tried to help, asking her to move back home. She started therapy, but she continued to withdraw, even pulling out of events to honor her brother.
She sent an email, Mommy, I finally realized Stephen's gone. And 4 months later, she was gone.
Calling it cruel deja vu, the Koches again found themselves answering the door in the middle of the night. This time, 2 police officers told them Lynn had taken her own life overdosing on pills.
And I said, wait a minute, are you trying to tell me my daughter is dead? And she said, yes, ma'am, I am. And I just crumbled to the floor.
The Koches are not alone. Experts tell the News 4i team they are seeing an increase in cases of military family members killing themselves, but no one is keeping track.
We don't have good research that would point to unique risks in certain family members about a suicide in a family.
Dr. Stephen Koza is with the Center for the Study of Traumatic Stress. He's heading one of the largest congressionally funded studies looking at how family members grieve after someone dies in the military.
If certain groups are particularly resilient, we want to understand what can lead to resilience and how could programs better support health in the community after a death.
So far, he's interviewed about 850 adults who lost a service member since 9/11. Dr. Koza hopes results from the study will help identify those most at risk.
It's heartbreaking. It hurts every single day.
The Koches admit after losing 2 children, there are days when they think about suicide.
It's tempting, but you know what the other sacrifices are. You know what the other agony is going to cause.
Instead, they push on for their surviving son, Billy, for each other, and to honor the memory of both Lynn and Stephen.
Stephen volunteered for the service. We've been drafted. That's how we look at it.
Hoping to raise awareness about the struggles so often missed inside the all-American family.
I have a check engine light. I wanted to get checked.
The News 4i team is undercover at area AMCO stations from Virginia to Maryland, D.C. to Delaware.
It's a free inspection with a check engine light.
We're going to show you what that free offer really means.
Did you look?
I didn't take a look.
You didn't take a look?
What happens when you leave your car behind.
He's not going around the block.
And why some customers say they feel duped.
I took them at that commercial at their word.
When the light came on in Vince Pile's 97 BMW, he thought of that AMCO commercial. Check engine light on, we'll check it for free.
Old definition, it will not cost you a cent, a penny, a quarter.
But Pyle says the shop charged $50.
If you let us fix the car, then we'll wrap that fee into the price of the car repair.
Pyle had to pay up for this printout showing what that free check found.
There's no free information, and it wasn't free.
That check engine light is on in our News 4i team vehicle too, but we already know what the problem is.
Cosmetically, it's not the most attractive, but mechanically, it's in very good shape.
We had certified master technician Jim Parks inspect it from top to bottom. He's worked as a technician for 35 years and now investigates auto complaints in Montgomery County, Maryland. He made our check engine light come on by cutting a wire near what's called the intake air temperature sensor, or IAT. It won't hurt the car, but Parks says a quick check with a handheld scanner hooked up to the car under the steering wheel should give a code pointing to the problem area.
If he follows the diagnostic procedure, There are only 2 wires to check.
To see what really happens when we take the car into a shop, we've put hidden cameras inside, outside, and throughout the rest of the car.
You guys still do the free check engine inspection?
Yeah, I'll do it for you.
We visit 7 different AMCOs. Each time our cameras show them hooking up the scanner to get that IAT code. But then the pitch starts to change.
It's just essential.
2 locations say the sensor needs to be replaced, something they suggest we can do ourselves. But when we push for more help, one points us to the wrong location under the hood.
Check if it's disconnected. It's right by the air cleaner, where we put the air filter in.
It's near the air filter?
Yeah, air filter.
At a Delaware shop, we're told the specific problem could be hard to pinpoint.
When people ask me, well, I got this code, what's wrong with it? I usually have no idea.
That doesn't keep him from offering a wrong solution.
It's probably just a matter of cleaning the upper intake manifold.
At a charge of $200.
The intake air temperature sensor is bad.
The estimate is even higher at a Virginia AMCO.
What are we looking at on that?
It's 225.
225?
To immediately condemn the sensor is just jumping the gun.
Our expert Jim Parks rechecks the car after each visit and confirms there's nothing wrong with the IAT sensor. He says had any of the shops lifted the hood, they would have likely found the cut wire. And even if we did have to replace that sensor, it generally should cost less than $140, including parts and labor.
I guess if it were me and I did that free scan, I would at least open the hood, because if the sensor had just come unplugged and you plugged it back in, you're a hero. It hasn't cost you anything, hasn't cost the consumer anything, and the next time they do need some more significant work, they'll keep you in mind and come back.
Here he comes. We move on to the AMCO in Randallstown, Maryland, where they do look under the hood, but only after we agree to pay $45. They spot the wire and tell us they can fix it, and the sensor for $300, more than double what our expert estimates it should cost. The guy also warns us the car could shut down if we don't do something. The owner of that shop wrote the News 4i team saying he believes all of our interactions with your shopper were proper and in accordance with the Check Engine Life for Free offer, and that we also recommended replacing the sensor because, in our opinion, there was reason to believe that the sensor might have been affected by the damage we found. Our last stop is the AMCO on Howard Street in Baltimore. The sign out front advertises that free check, but it's a different story inside, where we're told we'll have to pay $49.99, which would go towards any future repairs. Curious to see what would happen? We agree. Our camera catches an employee rifling through our middle console, unlocking our glove compartment, and even using our car to pick up a part for another vehicle. Once inside the garage, the worker spends less than 3 minutes under the hood, never in the location of the IAT sensor. Still, the shop says it needs to be replaced for $200. The owner of that AMCO tells corporate, despite the sign outside, he does not participate in the promotional free check because of the high incidence of such requests. He says the individual who recommended the sensor replacement is no longer employed there, so he's been unable to confirm his reasoning behind that recommendation. The owner says he is confident, however, that the problem would have been corrected if your shopper had authorized the repair, but he did offer to give us a refund.
It's a crime that happens in plain sight, low risk, high payoff.
It's more profitable than heroin.
Smuggled cigarettes sold inside stores up and down the East Coast.
We know they came from Virginia.
The News 4i team taking you undercover inside a black market on the rise and originating right here in our area, and it costs taxpayers millions.
Are you guys en route?
Paul Carey is at the center of the battle against cigarette smuggling.
Got him pulled over in his neighborhood.
He's chief of enforcement with the Northern Virginia Cigarette Tax Board. On this morning, in a quiet Fairfax neighborhood, our cameras rolling during a takedown, months in the making.
We've seen him load the product up from his home. $300,000 worth of product he sent out.
24 separate shipments of Virginia cigarettes sent overseas where they're sold for a premium. Agents find 549 more cartons in this man's van, even more inside his home, charging him with a felony.
Well, this is one of the first cases where we've worked where it's being shipped out of the United States.
Until now, Carrie says most of the cigarettes ended up at mom and pop shops in other states. Virginia's low cigarette tax, 30 cents per pack, enticing smugglers with big profits by selling to stores in cities with much higher rates, like D.C. and New York.
Can I get some Newport 100s?
The News 4i team easily found D.C. retailers selling cigarettes with Virginia tax stamps, meaning they weren't paying D.C.'s tax.
It impacts everyone who lives in the district.
Bedell Terry with D.C.'s Office of Tax and Revenue sends inspectors out each week, almost always finding violators. The number of confiscated cigarettes increasing from 335 packs in 2011 to more than 3,600 in 2012.
We seize them, and the fine is 500 times the retail value, or $5,000, whatever is larger.
Another trap door.
Some D.C. retailers doing whatever it takes to hide the contraband in hidden compartments or shelves to avoid fines.
Same for me, Newport.
The News 4i team found the problem is even worse further up the I-95 corridor in New York City, where an estimated 60% of sales involve smuggled cigarettes.
Let's see, 100.
We were able to buy cigarettes from Virginia around the city, from Brooklyn to the Bronx.
About 49% of the stores in New York City are selling inappropriately taxed cigarettes.
New York City Sheriff Edgar Dominique has spent the last 2 years cracking down on smuggling, now so profitable it's attracting organized criminals and even terrorist groups.
This here is our evidence room where we've taken in our contraband. This constitutes about 6 months of retail inspection.
His office so far issuing more than $1.5 million in fines.
A lot of our cigarettes presently that we're seizing have a Virginia tax stamp on them.
He's hoping new legislation will give his department authority to go even further, actually closing down repeat offenders for up to 60 days.
We're going to take away the money that you're making.
To cut off this tobacco trail before the smuggling even begins.